What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Doe Show. It's your boy Dame D, and today I have a guest in this, that's going to be joining me by audio, not video. And I'll allow my guest to go ahead and introduce himself to the show.
What up, though? What up, though? It's BJ3 in the house. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Welcome to the show, BJ3. First and foremost, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It definitely helps the channel grow. And I want to thank the recent subscribers who just subscribed to the channel. It's definitely appreciated. But today we're going to be talking about this. Let me adjust everything, just make sure everything, my cameras and everything is right. Okay, but yeah, we're going to be talking about this Carmelo Anthony and this Austin Metcalf situation. I have audio and video of this fucking clown, this white racist podcaster, who's spewing a lot of, bullshit, and this is, and I'm getting ready to show you guys, this is what a white racist looks like and sounds like. You know what I mean? He's just putting out a bunch of bullshit, and he actually has a large following, or subscribers, I should say. You know what I mean? But BJ3, I'm going to go ahead and go to the video and the audio, and we'll do commentary, in between of listening to this clown. And I just want to show you guys, what these racist folks sound like and look like, and how they feel, and how they talk about us, amongst each other, but now they're doing it, in our faces. So, but here we go. Like I said, I got audio and video. I'm getting ready to go to that. Give me 1 second. I have everything queued up. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go, BJ3.
Out of the Collin County Jail this afternoon after posting bond.
Karmelo Anthony, the main suspect in the murder of Austin Metcalf, the 17-year-old kid who was stabbed in the heart at a track meet in Frisco, Texas, is now officially out on bond. And this is after a woke left-wing judge that apparently was appointed by Texas Governor Greg Abbott 2 separate times ended up reducing his bond from $1 million to $250,000. And at this point in time, the family is fully capable of paying that money. When we last left off this story, we were talking about the GoFundMe for Karmelo Anthony and how.
And I want to say this too: fair use. I'm using this video to show people what racist people look like and sound like. So I just want to put that out. Fair use.
It had raised over $400,000. That number is close to $500,000. And I think it is very important for you guys out there in the audience to understand that there are a lot of people spreading the bad information, the lies, the falsehoods about this case because they don't know any better and they're in an isolated media environment where that's all they're being fed. But the people who are spreading this information on purpose, the people who are putting it out there, making fake Facebook posts, making, of course, fake autopsy reports and accusing Austin Metcalf and his brother of doing all sorts of crazy crimes, those people are doing it on purpose. They are doing.
See, and I'm going to pause it right here. He know that when he say those people, he's trying to talk about black people, but that's not the case. It was not black people who was putting out false narratives. You know what I mean? It was the mainstream media, and people like you who were putting this shit out. So I'm not going to let you spew this bullshit, but we're going to pick this shit apart, BJ3.
Doing it intentionally, and a huge reason that that is getting so much play in the internet space is because these people know Karmelo Anthony is guilty. It's not because they believe he's innocent. Let me repeat that. It's because they know he's guilty, but they're happy that he killed a white person because they view this and they view getting Karmelo Anthony off on these charges as some kind of racial revenge against.
Okay. Against white people is what he said, so give me your opinion on what you just heard this man say. That was a blatant racial sentence. I mean, basically slur that he just put out.
Yeah, he said a lot of things. He said a lot of things. He was talking about the judge, left wing woke.
Exactly. And it's like he's playing with us right in our face, but let me rewind this one more time so you can hear him again, BJ3, what he just said.
that he killed a white person, because they view this and they view getting Carmelo Anthony off on these charges as some kind of racial revenge against white people. Now, that is not to impugn every single individual that's sharing this bad information. Again, a lot of people.
Okay, so basically what he's trying to say is black people are happy that Carmelo Anthony killed Austin Metcalf, as it's like a revenge thing for black people. You know what I mean? That's crazy. So I need you to elaborate on what this freaking clown just said.
Well, yeah, he said it. He just basically said that all the black folks that think that he didn't do it is a piece of dog crap.
Right.
He's not open-minded. You can't really have a conversation with someone like that. He feels how he feels, and he's probably been told and taught different things his whole life, so he believes certain things, and he feels very strongly about the way he feels.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and we'll finish the rest of this.
Aren't coming into contact with the facts because they're flooding the zone. And it's not to condemn all black people across the country, because as I've seen in my comments repeatedly, there's a bunch of different black people who understand, based on the facts that we have available now, that this is an unjustified homicide, and they would never defend it on tribal or racial lines like these other people. But understand where we're at in this country.
Okay, now, so what do you think he meant by that?
Tribal or racial line?
Yeah, he's like I said, he's just splurring out, spitting out nothing but racial slurs. Tribal. Like we're on some type of reserve or some shit.
Oh man.
But yeah, and this is why I wanted you guys to hear this, because like I said, this came across my feed and I listened to it. I was on my way home from work and I'm like, you know what? As soon as I get home, I gotta let people hear this clown talk. You know what I mean? And so this is what, a lot of racist white folks sound and look like.
Country. It is very similar to the O.J. Simpson jury, who deliberately and admittedly so voted not guilty on O.J. Simpson as revenge for a prior racial grievance. In that particular case, it was for Rodney King.
Do you think that
you hear this bullshit? Did you just hear what he just said, BJ3? So now he's getting ready to play a clip from one of the jurors who was actually in the Rodney Green case. And he's trying to change the narrative around on that, but I'll let you guys listen to it.
they're members of the jury that voted to acquit OJ because of Rodney King?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
How many of you think felt that way?
Oh, probably 90% of us.
90%? Did you feel that way?
Yes.
That was payback.
Uh-huh.
You think that's right?
Now, we're going to break this down. We're going to talk about this. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticeword.com/join.
Jail since the 2nd of April. Accused still today of killing another teenager. That's Austin
So,
Metcalf.
but yeah, I'll go ahead and pause
then
that. He tried to make it sound like it was that OJ was set free.
It was correct.
Yeah, that set free because it was basically like, we were getting get back from the Rodney King beating. You know what I mean? That had nothing to do with, OJ getting found out not guilty. That had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? So they try to use any and everything, to try to justify that this man was found not guilty by jurors of not his white jurors. You know what I mean? So you can't get around that. So yeah, I'm going ahead and continue to hit play on this and listen.
Accused killing happened at a track meet at a high school. Today, a judge reduced Anthony's bond from $1 million all the way down to $250,000. JD Miles was there for it. He's live for us right now outside the Collin County Jail. Anthony just left. We saw the video. What else do we need to know?
That's right, Doug and Nicole. Just 6 hours or about that much time after a judge lowered his bond, Karmelo Anthony was released. The judge who made the decision warned the accused murderer that if he violates any terms of his probation or tries to leave his home, he will be brought back right here to the Collin County Jail.
So I want to make something clear, because not everybody is being 100% honest about this, but the day that Karmelo Anthony was going to be bailed out of jail was always going to come. It was always going to happen, unless, of course, you had the judge remand him to custody for the safety of the community rather than setting a dollar amount. And this is because Karmelo Anthony's family fundraiser has raised nearly $500,000, and the bond that was attached to him is not a bond where you have to put up the full amount. You can actually put just 10%.
And now I'm gonna pause this. I want to ask you this question, BJ3. Why do you think they keep bringing up the amount that's been raised for his bond and then for his lawyers? It's like it's like, you know, when all this shit was going on with Dylan Roof, you know, all this shit was going on with George Zimmerman, you know, when they raised millions of dollars, you know, I don't think that one black person spoke out about, you know, them raising this money. You know, now you got every white, you know, blogger, you know, white media, you know, raising up, you know, this money, his money issues that he raised. You know what I mean? So elaborate on that, BJ3. Why do you think they keep, well, we know why, but I want you to, you know, elaborate on why you think they keep bringing up this money situation.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's what it is, and that's what's been going on. So it happens.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and we'll finish listening to it.
And get a bail bondsman in order to get a release, because 10% of $1 million is only $100,000. The day that the gifts and go actually paid out to the family was going to be the day that Karmelo Anthony would have been bailed out. So the reduction just allows the family to put up the $25,000 before that payout ends up occurring, so that they can actually secure his release early. So to be clear, even though the judge did this apparently for ideological reasons, possibly for racial reasons based on her prior statements to that effect.
Now when we can have, summer interns.
Okay, now this is an actual clip of the judge that has nothing to do with this case. You know, I think she was making a statement to the people who she was talking to. You know, it had nothing to do with this. You know, and he's trying to use this as something that has to do with this Karmelo Anthony case. This guy is a clown.
Come up, and they are every race, creed, color, gender. But they can see someone that looks like them on the bench. I think that is so beneficial because it's representation. And when they look at me, young kids, law students, whoever it is, I want them to say, if she can do it, I can do it too.
He was going to get out of jail no matter what, unless, of course, they remanded him to custody, which, by the way, there is a case to be made, because essentially this guy could end up in a situation where somebody says, excuse me, to try to get him out of the way, and then presumably he would stab them in the heart and claim self-defense. That is how violent Karmelo Anthony actually is.
Okay, let me pause this. Now, did you hear what he just said, BJ3? You know, Karmelo Anthony had no priors, convictions. He was a A student, the captain of the football team, the captain of the track team. You know what I mean? This guy was a God-fearing man, worked 2 jobs. You know what I mean? And was preparing to go to college. Had all type of offers from different universities. You know what I mean? So this guy is just putting out all type of bullshit to try to paint a picture. You know, and this is what the media does. You know, and this is how the media tries to taint the jury mindset. You know, with this bullshit that they put out. You know, so we have to do our due justice and put this bullshit out so people can see this, you know, and do a reverse on that, you know, and put out positive and great shit that we know Karmelo Anthony was. This was a man who was getting ready to go somewhere.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say to the victims?
Karmelo Anthony emerged from the Collin County Jail 13 days after his arrest for the murder of Austin Metcalf. The high school student had nothing to say as he headed to his parents' home, where he will be confined to an ankle monitor. It's the result of a hearing this morning over whether to lower his bond. The families of both Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf arrived at the Collin County Courthouse this morning with extra security in and around the courtroom. A new defense attorney representing the Frisco teen accused of murder had his client's father testify about his son's character, telling the judge he was a captain of his football and track teams and that he held 2 jobs while in school. He's an A student, said Andrew Anthony. Does he have plans to go to college? Yes, sir.
And prior to this, what was on his mind was what college he was going to go to. This is a tragedy all the way around for both families.
And by the way, because I already know that he was going to get out of jail awaiting trial in the first place, that's why I'm not.
How the fuck you know he was gonna get out of jail? You know what I mean? Him saying shit like that. You know what I mean? This guy is a clown. You know, and I would love to, and I hope he see this freaking video. You know, let's make this. Look, I need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. You know, we definitely need to make this video go viral. You know, so he can see this shit. You know what I mean? Because this guy has a large following. So hopefully he'll be able to see this. I'm gonna need you guys' help by like, commenting, and subscribing and sharing. Make sure that you comment and make sure that you share. You know, and if you're not a subscriber of the channel, make sure that you subscribe. But yeah, we definitely got to make sure that this video gets out there and make sure that he sees this.
So angry about that as much as other people who don't understand what $1 million bond actually means. Also, I will say I give credit to Give Send Go for not pulling down the fundraiser. Remember, the big distinction between them and GoFundMe in the Kyle Rittenhouse case and the Daniel Penny case is that they do allow people to raise money for their criminal defense, even for violent crimes, and they're sticking by that principle, even though the backers of Give Send Go, traditionally the right, are the ones putting pressure on them now to pull this fundraiser. So give credit to Give Send Go for standing up for their principle. Even though the people who donate to Karmelo Anthony's fundraiser are either incredibly ignorant or are absolutely repugnant individuals who are doing so.
Okay, now I'm going to ruin now see, and this is why I wanted to look. This is why this video needs to go viral. You know, this is how they talk about us. This is what they really think about us. You know what I mean? I'm going to rewind this so you guys can hear this.
And GoFundMe in the Kyle Rittenhouse case and the Daniel Penny case is that they do allow people to raise money for their criminal defense, even for violent crimes, and they're sticking by that principle, even though the backers of Give Send Go, traditionally the right, are the ones putting pressure on them now to pull this fundraiser. So give credit to Give Send Go for standing up for their principle. Even though the people who donate to Karmelo Anthony's fundraiser are either incredibly ignorant or are absolutely repugnant individuals who are doing so to celebrate this murder.
Anthony.
Oh, okay. Now, what do you think about what he just said right there, BJ3? Give me your thoughts and your opinion on that bullshit.
That's those are very strong words, and they're inaccurate.
Yeah, you know, this guy is a clown. This is a straight, blatant racist. You know what I mean? You know, and I'll keep it real. Most black people, you know, we try to give got people like this the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? But look, they're out in the open. They're showing us who they are. You know, we have to continue to stick together, you know, behind Karmelo Anthony and his family. You know, this should make people want to donate even more. But I'll go ahead and hit play.
Who told Frisco police he stabbed 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a track meet in self-defense after an altercation, sat in a jail jumpsuit and shackles, while prosecutors challenged how the father could not afford the 10% needed for $1 million bond, with an online donation fund that's up to $400,000 and growing. With access to over $400,000, why haven't you bonded him out yet? Asked the prosecutor. We don't have access to that money, replied the father.
It's hard for everybody to be level-headed at a time like this, so that's where we come in. It's our job to be level-headed, to be fact-based, and to follow the truth wherever it leads.
And prosecutors revealed today that Karmelo Anthony was involved in an assault-type altercation at his school on February 4th that was handled internally by the school district. Other than that, he has an unblemished record, which is probably one.
See, and this is another thing that the mainstream media also try to do. We don't know how true that this is. You know, this sounds like it was an incident. Yeah, we don't know how true this is, or
could have been.
Right. You know, yeah, you know, exactly. You know, so they go and try to dig up stuff that's probably not even true. You know, and if the school didn't release it, or if it's something that the law wasn't involved, there should not be. there should be no record of any of this. You know what I mean? So what they went and done is went and tried to dig up some stuff that, may have even not been a confrontational situation, or an aggressive situation. They try to turn it around and make it seem like, he was a violent or he did something violent, So, if you have anything else to add to that, BJ3, I'm gonna go ahead and hit play.
I'm gonna say one thing. I'm not gonna say a whole lot, but the way I look at this situation, the way I just look at situations in general is when it comes down to like race and all that type of stuff, is I just flip it, right?
Right.
Put a white kid in a tent full of black kids, and the same thing happened. And then if you still say you feel how you feel, then okay, you feel like but if you feel different and it was the shoes are on the foot, then you may have to reevaluate yourself. So this dude is very interesting.
I mean, and he's an idiot is what he is, but I'm going to continue to hit play.
One of the reasons why the judge agreed to lower his bond.
But we did find out, in addition to the fact that we have students on the campus at Karmelo Anthony's school that talked about his violent tendencies and getting into fights, like this clip right here.
While here at Centennial, students shocked about what happened, that one of their classmates could be charged with such a serious offense. One girl that we spoke with knew Anthony pretty well, that she says, and told us this.
I'm in shock because it's like, I wouldn't expect that from him. I only know him fighting and stuff, but to take someone's life is just like a different level.
And you see how the mainstream media went and found someone, and we don't even know how true that is. You know what I mean? This can all be just some false narrative shit that they're trying to paint this picture of Karmelo Anthony, So, but yeah, I'll go ahead and continue to hit play. It's just funny how because I guarantee you, if the lawyer of Karmelo Anthony went and dug up shit, on both of the brothers and the father, we'll get a lot of dirt, and a lot of bullshit too on these guys.
He also had a disciplinary issue that was related to assault that, of course, was adjudicated at the school level, and this is probably due to the fact that the Biden administration decided to institute an equity and discipline program like the Obama administration before him, which essentially makes it incredibly difficult for you to involve law enforcement in crimes that occur in schools, specifically because black people commit more of those crimes, and the Obama and the Biden...
Did you hear what this fucking idiot just said? Because black people commit more crimes, and this was the main reason why I had to come home and play this, and I'm definitely not going to keep you guys long. I just wanted to play a little bit of this, and let you guys hear, how white racist sounds, you know what I mean, and how they spew, their rhetoric, amongst each other. To try to taint, and this is what they do. This is the work of the mainstream media, and guys like him. This is their job. Their job is to try to taint and paint a picture to try to make Karmelo Anthony in the minds of the jurors that have not even been selected yet. They're gonna, in their minds, they're gonna make him look guilty already. So this is the stuff that we have to point out and show, people. These are the games that they play.
Administration would actually determine that your school was evil, white, and racist for disproportionate suspension rates. Therefore, you would have soft on these kids kind of discipline. So Karmelo Anthony was definitely able to skirt responsibility back in February. So we have a violent history from this individual. We have him attacking people. It is confirmed not just through his record.
You hear this? Not once. The police have no. His record was clean. You know what I mean? If it was an incident that happened at school and the school handled the situation without any authorities being handled, this should have not even been brought up.
record, but through that other student's testimony. So that's new and interesting information that we now have available to us. Now, I also told you that these black activists on Twitter, on social media, even on YouTube, that are defaming Austin Metcalf as a bully, that put out that fake Facebook post, that put out, of course, the fake autopsy that said he was high on drugs, and all this other nonsense that we see about how, oh my.
See, and you see how he just lied on this activist group that he's talking about that's getting ready to come out and speak in a second. He's going to show, and this group was brought to be able to make everything that's going on in this case to be fair. They were a group that was brought in for civil rights to make sure that that their client, well, not even client, but that the person that's on trial, gets a fair shake and a fair trial.
My God, the evil white racist Metcalf boys attacked him. They turn out to be completely false. And by the way, we have proof positive of that from Karmelo Anthony's own defense team, which issued a statement asking people to stop lying about the case. Because in reality, if you portray Karmelo Anthony as the victim of bullying by the Metcalfs, and then he brings a knife to this track meet and then deliberately sits in the tent corresponding to their school, not his school, that actually gives a better case from premeditation, which, by the way, is something that I told you guys on this channel.
And what we was able to
now this is the group that I was talking
from the Frisco Police Department is reassuring that the Frisco Police Department is doing everything that it can to address the racism and the bigotry. We have saw the police chief.
See, and I'm gonna pause just for a second. And this is all this guy has been doing is just spewing racism and bigotry through this whole show that he just did. So that's why I wanted to show you guys what evil looks like. You know what I mean? This guy and then first and foremost, they keep trying to say that he's guilty. I believe in a court of law, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? Am I right, BJ3?
That's 100% right.
Yeah.
A statement being sent out by the police chief that was false. We have saw a false autopsy report that was false.
Yeah, so basically what he's saying, even the police chief of that town has put out false narratives about Karmelo Anthony. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm trying to say. He has the media, he has the police, he has bloggers and people who have podcasts like this guy right here, who's out there trying to paint a negative picture and trying to paint a bad look on Karmelo Anthony, and we have to change that narrative.
We have to caution the community to say, hey, we cannot trust everything that is online. The disinformation that is going online is hurting this case, and it has to stop. It has to stop, y'all. As we know it right now, Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony did not know each other. They did not know each other. Let's stop it. They were not at a party together. Let's stop the lies regarding this situation. We also know that both Austin Metcalf, the twin brothers, were on the roster that day to be at that track meet. We also know that Karmelo Anthony was on the roster that day to be at that track meet. We know they both arrived, all of them arrived to this facility via the transportation of Frisco ISD. The lies has to stop, y'all.
So once again, I am proven right, and it's not that difficult to be proven right.
He's proven right. This guy is a complete idiot.
Right, in this particular case, because we have the police report, which has a summary of the witness testimonies, and nowhere in any of the witness testimonies did it say that both brothers were attacking Karmelo Anthony, or that his phone was broken, or that he was punched, or jumped, or anything of the sort, although that hasn't stopped absolutely idiotic and honestly sinister people on the internet from putting forward fake witnesses and all sorts of other fake documentation in order to make it seem like these evil white racist boys were in the wrong in this particular case.
It was raining. They got rained out like crazy bad.
Okay, and this is the last clip of this bullshit that I'm going to play. You know, this is a clip of one of the supposedly witnesses that were out there, you know, with his two daughters at the track meet. You know, so this is his testimony of what he saw that happened that day. And listen to how this idiot talks and try to just listen to the bullshit that he says on how this gentleman's talking. He tries to mock how this gentleman is speaking, you know, and that says a lot about his character. You know, this guy's is a straight racist.
And everybody trying to get back to their cars or get in, you know, places where they, you know, wouldn't get.
You know, and you can hear that this man it sounds like a Southern man, you know, or has some type of Southern accent.
It's weird. Dude was sitting up under the tent, right? He was on his phone, right? My daughters was up under the same goddamn tent. Yeah. So I'm paying attention to my kids, but at the same time, they're in the same vicinity. So I'm watching everything going on around it because I'm there for my children. So dude walks up. McKellen, bro, he wasn't even under the tent at the time. They came from a whole separate tent and walked over there. They intentionally went over there to this kid, man. Dude was sitting there on his phone just trying to get dry. You feel me? One thing went from another. They grabbed this man and they tried to punch on dude. Dude went in his bag and whatever. They went to try to jump this dude and punch on this dude, man. And he protected himself, dude. That's what happened. Yeah. It wasn't just one. It was both of them, bro. Austin, that dude that got unalive, and his brother physically went over there to intentionally. It's not to the point that he brought a knife. For one, it wasn't on school property. The school is at least 5 to 10 miles away. It was community track meet, bruh. It wasn't a school track meet. So he had the right to have a knife on his person, bro.
So that was a fake witness, by the way, that doesn't appear on any...
Which is some bullshit. I mean, he don't know if this was a fake witness or not. You know, this guy just says anything, but I'm going to let you... I'm going to let you guys hear the rest of what he have to say, and then I'm going to stop it, and then we'll do a quick commentary and end it.
Of the police reports where they redacted the names of people who are underage, even though this person said that he had two daughters that were in that particular tent. And this person was platformed all over social media, despite the fact that everything that he says sounds ridiculous and absurd. It doesn't even match the other lies that these people told about the case. And again, he talks with a lacking in intelligence that is actually unbelievable. I mean, again, you have a guy saying, yeah, so the Met Cowboys, they ended up coming over and they just sucker punched him because Karmelo was just on his phone, or, you know, reading about chemistry and nuclear physics, and then these evil white racists with their evil white racism came at them. Like, it's crazy. It's madness. The fact that anybody...
Okay, so look, I'm not going to play no more of this. This is crazy. This is madness. You know, you see how they mock and how they try to insult our intelligence. You know what I mean? You know, well, how he's trying to mock and insult this man's intelligence. You know, but BJ3, I'll give you the last words on this. You know, give me your last words on what you just heard this man just say. You know, after hearing one of the supposedly witnesses out there tell his part on what he saw happen. Well, it sounds like we're having a few technical difficulties with BJ3, but yeah, you know, like I said, I just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention. You know, this is what a white racist sounds like. You know, and you don't have any black people out there that's saying or spewing out any type of bullshit like that. You know, they're putting out, you know, pretty much So, pretty much putting out what they've been hearing and seeing, on social media. You know what I mean? This guy is just pretty much just it's just nothing but just trash, this bullshit that he's spewing out. And I just want you guys to see how most of these people, and I'm not gonna say all, I'm gonna say most, feel and think about, most black folks, So I need to know what you guys think about this fucking asshole. I need to know what you think about the things that he was saying about Karmelo Anthony, and the other gentleman that spoke in the video. And I definitely need for you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let's make sure this video gets out. Make sure he's put out there. And his face is planted throughout social media so people can see, what a racist person looks like. So I don't have anything else to add to this. It's your boy Damn D, and I am out. Peace.